Good morning, guys, and welcome to the grounds with Giles, Jones, Slagle, and Cappuccino. But Slagle and Cappuccino aren't here. Hopefully, Slagle.
Kelsey's.
Well, I'm getting there. We got always Kelsey, the lovely Kelsey, and our special guest today, her dad. I'm not sure if she's in trouble or not, but the topic today is your favorite childhood dream.
Yeah, she's giggling already. I told you.
Giggling already?
She's giggling already.
Childhood memory.
Memory.
Dream is different.
Yeah, we don't want to hear
He's
about
probably
it,
still in it, but that's okay.
Well, it's a different type of dream, and they're not dry, let me tell you.
Yeah, I got plenty of food.
But yeah, welcome in, guys. I appreciate everyone stopping in today to talk to us and hear our nonsense some days, right? You know, but it's Friday. We all hopefully survived another long week, right?
Yeah.
So come on in.
There's Uncle Pete right under Coach there. So just put that up in your URL and throw it in and be part of this fantastic Friday morning show here, which is great. Still looking for a sponsor for this show. So that must be a good one because Kelsey brought water. She's hydrating.
Or she knows
Hardcore.
she's going to talk a lot today.
Hardcore. All right, Kel. So your favorite childhood memory? You brought this one up. What's the deal? What's going on?
I would say my most memorable childhood memory is
She ain't kidding. Dad, look that way.
so my
We aren't
mom.
going to get to this show.
My mom used to be working at this shelter down in Fox Lake called Fortunate Pooches and Lab Rescue. And so we used to do transportation of different puppies and go pick them up if like people would call in that there was puppies left on a highway and they were in a ditch or whatnot. And I remember this one time we picked up 2 litters inside of our minivan, and it like I felt like I was the happiest kid and like nothing could change my mind. And the dogs were like licking all over me and running up on my skin. And my mom's like, "You look like you got attacked by a cat." And I was like, "I don't care. I enjoyed every second of it." And then we had to like bathe them, and they were so cute because it was all different litters. Like it was literally like going to a breeder and seeing like 20 different litters, and they're all playing with all the different puppies. And they were like nipping at us, and then their cute little barks. And I just love animals. So that's my favorite childhood memory, like ever, is that moment with my mom. And I remember her like smiling so bad she had to like pull over because we were all laughing so hard. So I'm a very giggly individual.
How old were you at that point?
I
was
want to
17.
Yes. Well, you still are a child.
Just yesterday this happened.
You know what? That's good.
like 14 because I remember I was a freshman in high school when my mom started. Was it younger than that? Freshman in high school when she started over at Fortunate Pooches Lab Rescue, which the shelter is still going on now. She just doesn't have it stationed out of a strip mall outside of her house now. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. And every time we would like foster animals, we ended up keeping them. Like
That's called a foster
Yeah.
fail. I have 3 of those.
That's why your father quit fostering animals.
For real.
Well, that's it.
So that is that like your happy place? How many times a week do you go back to that memory?
Man, actually quite a bit. My mom and I talk about it all the time. When she can tell my mental space is kind of out, she's like, "Kelsey, remember that time?"
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm just like full of giggles and cheeks are red and my cheeks get sore from smiling so much. Like that's my most happiest time ever.
When you remember that day, I mean, for me, a lot of times stuff like that, like it's just so vivid in your mind. Like you'll smell. Is there something that actually brings that up? Because I know you'll think about it, but like certain things, you walk into a house and it smells. Let's just say
Sure,
like apple
puppy
pie or
taste,
something,
yeah.
or a pup, right? You're like,
Yeah.
boom! It takes you back to 8 years old. Is
So
there
I
something that really would pull you there, other than having a bad day trying to remember that? Is there? Because obviously puppies have a
They
good
do. Like
smell.
I love smelling their paws, and I literally
Their
thought
paws?
I thought it smelled like burning rubber because
I've
of how
never
much
done
they
that
run
one.
so much. Oh,
Yeah.
I think puppies smell so good. Like
I've
you don't
never
even have to bathe. It's like their natural scent. Now, if it's straight out of a womb, not so much because I don't even like babies straight out of a womb.
Right.
But puppy paws, I think it just smells so good. I used to do that all the time to my dog, like just sniff his paws.
If anybody else has done that, please chime in, let us know. I have 4 dogs, and we've had dogs our whole life and love puppies the whole 9 yards. I've never smelled their feet. I love puppy breath,
Oh, okay.
right? I mean, it's puppy breath, even though it's probably poop, right? That makes it smell so good, right? But I don't know what it is about that. But so those different smells that just take us back. Our brain is so amazing, and how it can just like hit something and take us so far back, and you can remember every detail usually,
Yeah,
right?
it's almost like
But
a
you can't
session.
remember what you did 10 minutes ago, going, oh, shit, what did I say? What did I do? right? So
I would agree. Yeah, like burning rubber or a minivan, a green Plymouth minivan to be exact, was the van that we took. But yeah, anytime I see that or just like a pet store or anything, I'm just like, oh, the babies.
brings you back, right?
Yeah.
Kind of soothes your head, right? Get your head out of whatever you're spinning on, so to speak, at that point.
Yeah, I could tell every emotion coming from my mom and I just staring at each other, like the warmth, energy between us. And when her and I talk about it, I mean, she giggles as much as I do. So it's an amazing memory that I have. What about you, old man?
I don't
Do you
have any
remember?
good childhood memories. I got my ass beat when I was a kid, man. Yeah, I mean, and when you mentioned this and started talking about it, I'm like, Jesus, one specific like great childhood memory. I can't pinpoint one down that was like awesome that always pulls me back. I literally have been thinking about it because I mean, in the big picture, I had a really good childhood as far as being raised, good family, that type of stuff. But I went through the normal shit that a lot of kids go through, right? But I never had anything that like really stood out other than like the biggest thing for me, I think that was a cohesive, and I'll always remember and got me rolling into cars. I love cars, right? I think I was 13, pretty close to your age. Mom and dad wanted to keep us boys together. I got 2 older brothers, and at that age, it's, girls, drugs, alcohol type of thing, 13, 14, 15 is when that stuff starts getting really put in your face. Dad wanted to try to keep us out of that. So he bought us a 68 Camaro to restore between the 3 brothers, right? And to try to keep us together, which was great, because most, brothers and sisters, they don't hang out, they don't get along, but you try as parents. I mean, I did the same thing to try to keep them together. But I do remember that memory very well because that was the point where I was like, ooh, we actually started kind of doing things as family, right? My dad and my mom, wonderful people. My dad would leave the house at 5 o'clock in the morning, get home at 7 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? So didn't see him a ton. He was doing what he needed to do to make the family go, right? But then this came on, and that was just a game changer, right? So ever since that day, my dad and I are like, 2 peas in a pod when it comes to cars, so that, I guess that would actually be, because like I said, I went through a lot trying to figure out what would be mine. And that one, well, it's actually, I get, what do they call it when you get those tingles throughout your head? You know what I mean? So,
Viagra.
Viagra?
Wow, okay.
Well, you get a free supply of that, don't you?
That's right. Viagra, feel free to send your check to
That's right.
Creator Studios. Oh, that should actually work because they sell so much of it.
That's why there's multiple companies doing it now.
Yeah,
right.
right. Multiple different flavors.
What is that new thing that you talk about? Happy Fridays or whatever. Happy Friday. It's the cheap pill.
Okay.
But yeah, for me, that's the greatest thing, and I think that keeps rolling on every day. Now that you really put it to it, because it's hard to kind of nail things down.
Yeah,
You
to
know,
that
it's-
one moment.
To that one moment. But for me, like you have smells, right, that will bring that back. For me, it's just looking at old cars. Every time if I see an old Camaro, I'll go right back to that day because this thing it wasn't a piece of crap, but it was kind of a piece of crap. The paint on it had metal flake in it that was so much in it that if you rub the paint, you would cut your hand.
Wow.
The guy was using it as a drag car, and us kids were like, yeah, this is great. Let's go at it, Oh, nice. Oh, don't touch the paint.
Sandpaper it is, right?
Oh,
Sandpaper.
no, it's like
Shark
razor
skin.
blades.
Sharks.
Shark skin.
Yeah, it was
Back
bad.
in
It was bad. So, yeah, that's for me. Well, you know how I am now too, Kat. So, I mean, that I guess set me up for the rest of my life.
Okay.
Or enjoying cars. I just
Yeah. How many do you have?
none.
And unhealthy too many.
Yeah, and unhealthy too many. But I guess it's better than sitting in a bar. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's
Yeah.
a really good hobby for me. It keeps me focused. I'll have my day like everybody else, and at the end of the day, some people will sit down, read a book, some people will go sit in the bathtub, whatever. I go out in my garage. Right?
Shayna, good morning. Glad to have you.
Good morning,
this
Shayna.
morning. Of course, Cappuccino and Nico are out in the woods doing a little camping, and Steve's rubbing one off this morning, which is good.
Did you see that last text? I said, make sure
Yeah.
you think about us. Hopefully that takes
And-
place
and
if you're watching.
Thanks for tuning in, Steve.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is not the movie you're supposed to be watching, sir.
That's
Change the channel.
Yeah.
Your job might get a little easier.
That's right.
So what about you, bud?
I've got a ton. It really depends on where you're at in life. One of the biggest memories, of course, basketball is life. It's in my DNA. Was I had 3 older brothers, so I always played up. So I think I was 6 years old, and I was playing in an 9-year-old league or whatever. And I remember my dad's like, "Listen, if you score 6 points, then," and I didn't get a lot of playing time. He's like, "If you score 6 points, I'll get you this Spalding basketball with Dr. J's autograph on it." Right now, that's 6. You think that Dr. J really autographed? You don't know, right? That it's just mass produced. And I'm like, so he shows me the picture, in like the J.C. Penney catalog, or and
I get to see his face right now.
yeah, I'm like, whoa. And, as a kid, you don't know that there's millions of them. You're like, that's the one.
I'm gonna get one of those.
And I remember that game vividly. And I was little. When I say I was little, when I was a freshman in high school, I was 5 foot and 100 pounds. So I was
Same size you are now.
Yeah, that's my left leg. So I was a little kid, and you're trying to hump that ball up there and whatnot. I was trying to do reverse layups. It was crazy. I ended up scoring 8 points, and I remember getting that basketball. I probably still have that.
I was just going to ask you.
It's wore out, and it won't hold there. But I know in my garage, I probably still have that basketball today.
They have new tools that you can probably reinflate it.
No,
Put in some slime inside it.
This is 1975.
Bring back the signature.
Yeah,
That's right.
Oh,
I got to find you a ball now. We got to find.
But at that time, Dr. J was in the ABA. He had the big afro, the goatee, and he could jump over people, and yeah, it was amazing. Shayna says part of the beauty of being raised rural Midwest was the thrill of smelling chlorine as you approached a municipal pool. It didn't happen often. What was the dumbest thing you saw a buddy do? Oh,
we don't have time for that show.
That's it. It could be another show. That's it. But back in the day, Flora Park in Dubuque. When I was in elementary school, I remember that you could get with like a block and a half of the public pool. It had so much chlorine. You were just like, yeah,
we didn't have that when we had the lake.
Yeah,
we had the lake. That was it. I mean, and for us as kids, if we weren't in the lake, out in the farmers' fields, or riding I guess in the farmers' fields, riding our bicycles or uptown. That was about it for us as kids.
Yeah. Well, we grew up in Dubuque's on the Mississippi, and Mississippi was a dangerous place to jump in the water. So
all them water snakes.
Yeah.
Well, you can tell the difference between
Yeah,
like
bodies.
lake children and like chlorine children.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know when I walk into certain stores, I'm like, "Oh, you guys just cleaned with bleach," and they're like, "How do you know already?" I'm like, "I'm used to pools and chlorine. Like that's the same smell."
Right.
And it doesn't fry up my nostrils. We got used to it at a young age. So, it's
Right.
like it doesn't bother you. Where lake
Right.
kids are like, "Oh, my eyes are burning."
Yeah. But we as kids, we didn't have a pool in Mundelein where I grew up. So we had to go to Libertyville. They had a nice outdoor pool, Adler Park, right on 21. And it was like probably 7 miles. Well, my parents weren't going to drive us. Walk, ride your bike. We did. And so that was that was a whole day thing
Yeah.
for us. Ooh, we get to, mom is back then, made it.
Yeah.
4 years old. See you later, honey. You know what I mean? You ride off on your
See you
bicycle.
at dinner.
Yeah, see you at dinner.
See you at dinner. Don't be late.
That's it.
My parents, for dinner, for us, I don't know about you, but our neighborhood was fairly good size. We stayed somewhat close. They had a whistle. Like it was not a dog, a police whistle. They would blow that whistle when it's time to eat, expecting us to hear it where we're at. If we didn't hear it,
Well, we had to be back by 5. If you was at 5:01, you were in trouble.
yeah.
We were porch light.
Yeah.
When Mama turned on the porch light, it was time to come home.
Yeah.
Time to come home because you could see the porch light from anywhere.
Oh, really?
Oh, I grew up in a very rural part of Salt Lake City to where they were just starting to do a lot of development. So there's still a lot of undeveloped land. And you talk about a memory into it is like my dad was a firefighter, so we didn't have a ton of money. And he was always, 24-hour shifts and all those fun things. So he's like, look, here's a motorcycle. I was probably 13 years old, 12 years old. You got a choice. You can get a job, get it fixed, or you can learn how to fix it. Well, where I grew up, I learned how to fix the bike and ride it. And honestly, you talk about riding a pedal bike. From 12 years old up, I was riding my motorcycle.
Nice.
And the only rule was you couldn't ride it on an asphalt street because the cop would give you a ticket. So you get cute and you'd start riding it, and then you put it in neutral and kind of stand on the peg on the side. And if you saw a cop, you turn the engine off. I'm just coasting. So you try and play that gray area.
Oh, yeah.
You try and play that gray area with the cop, depending on the mood the cop was in.
That's right.
You would get a ticket, and if you got a ticket, you lost your bike for a while because Dad was not happy about that.
Yeah.
Or you planned your ride so you're always finished on the uphill side, kill your engine so you could coast as far as you could to get home. But again, it's one of those things that, I can remember, and you talk about going to work on cars, etc. I've got motorcycles that sit in our garage, and there are many a day where nothing needs to be done to them, but I know I need to do something to them. And
you can always clean them.
you can clean them, do whatever, but you're just out there just tinkering to get to cut a knuckle, to get grease on your hands, to do something, just so you're kind of filtering through, just kind of a center base for you, if you will, just to work it through. So it's really, that's kind of bled over into a lot of things, and Kelsey can verify or disclaim any of these things I'm about to say. There's a lot of stuff that we bought. There's a lot of stuff that we bought in over time that is not always the most expensive thing in the world, but it's stuff that we can fix, or I can upgrade, or I can do and go down the road because that's what I can do. There's other things. I ain't going to touch it because I'm going to do more damage to it. And she's trying to make that decision. What can you affect and what can't you do?
Right.
And I think that's ultimately kind of the gift my dad gave me.
That's a great gift.
Without really coming down and giving me the lecture, he made me learn that gift.
Yeah.
You got to figure out what you can do and what you can't do, and what you can't do, go ask for help.
Yeah.
And what you can do, work your way through it. Okay.
That's an absolutely awesome gift from your parents. My parents kind of did the same thing later.
Okay.
At 13, they did the car to restore, but when it came time for me to drive, I got a total hand-me-down car that went from my dad, my mom, my two brothers.
Mm-hmm.
They go, here's the keys. Motor's blown, by the way. Here's a new motor. Put it in, figure it out. I was destined to be a mechanic, I think, and I keep fighting it my whole life.
I never got to get.
Because
You're
I
a
can rent
mechanic
them.
for the human body,
Like, but no, I can
for your
rent.
store.
Well, right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's got all the oils, all the tools. Like,
That's
he
right.
helps with the human body.
That's right.
You're a mechanic that way.
And he tinkers with them.
I do
Yeah.
tinker.
That's why he's not allowed in the store anymore.
That's
There you
right.
Shayna says the kids with dads like that owe an enormous debt to the accidental wisdom of fun tied with responsibility.
Yes, yes, yes.
But that's who we are as our generation. Was you were always doing something. Now you see 15, 16 years old, 10, 12 that are just sitting doing nothing, staring at their pocket computer or streaming something, right? It was like, no, I ain't got time to sit. I got to keep doing. I got to keep moving. I got to keep tinkering.
Got to make things.
There's something to do. I mean, one of my best memories as a teenager was, I had a 79 Regal, had a 231 V6 in. So my parents knew if I had power, I would have probably not be here today.
That's why
right?
your first car was the Volkswagen Bug, right?
Right. So I got this, 4,500 pound, 1979 car that's got a 231 and it goes all at 40 miles, But I'm playing around with it. And I don't put the distributor cap on the same, the points are all, you're just what the, and so there's an open gym. So I'm like, oh, okay. I got to go to open gym. So instead of riding the bike, what do? I take my parents' car. Right. And it's beautiful, like 1984 Cutlass Sierra or something, 85 Cutlass Sierra 4-door. Then I don't even ask. I take the keys. I go. I couldn't start my car, and then a couple of my teammates are like, "Hey man, can you give me a ride home?" I'm like, yeah, I give you a ride home. And after I dropped the last one off, I pull away from the curb and I total the car because there was somebody in my blind spot.
Oh. It's okay, Mom, Dad. You can have my car.
What today would be totaled, right? I mean, tore the whole front clip out. It was bad. So I'm putting pieces in the trunk. It was still drivable, right?
Put piece of the trunk.
I've got the ticket, the whole works. I hit like the rear quarter panel of a 77 Skylark or something, which was all metal, and I remember just, driving over to the church where my dad is, because he's a pastor, and I just pull up in front of the church, and I'm like, he's on the phone or something. I go into his office. I'm like, hey, Dad, yeah, come out here. He's like, and I'm like, hey, I need to get.
I can see the terror in his
Yeah.
eyes.
And so then, what happens is he gets off the phone. He goes, what now? I go, yeah, I wrecked your car.
Your car
He goes, I'm sorry, what? I go, you got to come out here. I wrecked your car, right? So we walk out the front of the church, and there's this car with no front end on it. The bumper, the panels are in the trunk hanging out. And, my dad just looks at it, doesn't say a word.
It's the worst.
That's I was gonna say that's
The
the
worst.
absolute worst.
Walks around the car. He goes, you took my car?
No.
And I'm like, calm as can be. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, this just makes me sick to my stomach. Guy, right? And I start crying. I'm 16. I'm just like, hit me, right? just take it out on me. And he's just like, you got to work today? I go, yeah, I got to work. Okay, well, it's obviously drivable, so go home, and you're gonna walk home. All right. I walk home. He goes, get ready for work. I was working at the Hy-Vee, and he's like, get ready to go, and we got to go get some estimates on this thing. And sure as shit, we walk around estimates. I'm crying the whole time. And he just like keeps shaking his head at me like, why you didn't even ask? Well, my car was he's like, it was an open gym. You didn't need to be there. And just so the best part of this story, and everything has this is where I learned as well, everything has a silver lining, is we get the estimate and we get the car repaired, but the whole car has to be painted because the whole front end was off. It's got to match. And so we get the whole car painted. This was before Carfax, right? And my dad's a preacher in town. He's a Lutheran minister. People know us. People know him. And we go down and they buy like a brand new one, an 86, and as the salesman's like, oh, Pastor, there's not a scratch on this car. My dad goes, nope, there's not.
Not anymore.
Not now.
He's like, nope, there sure isn't. Wow, you take good care of your car. He didn't say a word, right? and so they got top dollar for the trade-in because it was spotless. And afterwards, I'm like, Dad, you lied. He goes, I didn't lie to the guy. Yeah, well, you didn't ask. He goes, there's not a scratch on this car, and there wasn't. So
That's a good one.
that's the silver lining. Like, hey, you could basically wreck your dad's car.
Parents get a new
Can't
one.
do that now.
Yeah, now you're
right.
they
But,
got
oh my
nicer
God,
newer stuff.
I felt so. I wish he would have just beat me, right? I just like take your belt off, whoop me, do something, because I felt about 2 inches tall, But the other thing is, he had to be happy about it because I manned up. It isn't like I went and parked it in the garage, act like nothing happened.
But I think that's one of the key differences into it. I think we could all tell that story where you did something and then you took accountability for it.
Yeah.
Versus you take something, you do something, and then you hide it, lie about it,
Right.
try and do anything else into it. I mean, I'll go back to graduation day, senior year. You and a bunch of buddies, you're running around in your graduation gowns. You're stupid. You're just being stupid. We're at the high school and we're, kind of basically playing an adult version of tag. And I go to chase a buddy out the door, put my hand up, shatter a piece of glass in the door.
Oh,
Principal standing 10 feet away from me.
I didn't do it.
No. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Looked right at him. Now I know this principal because he was also a colonel in the military, National Guard. Actually, was my dad's commanding officer. Looked right at him and just said, "How much, sir?" And he says, "That's $45 before you graduate." Walked out to my car, got my checkbook, wrote a check for $45, walked back in. Okay, done.
Yeah.
It was just, okay, done. Not anything else into it. I'll do it later. Not anything else into it. Just done and go. I mean, you guys are talking about cars. I had a younger brother about 16 months younger than me. I was big into athletics, so I didn't have a lot of time doing sports all the time. Well, my parents were set up that, again, dad firefighter, he worked real estate, he did all National Guard, did all kinds of stuff so mom could stay home. And he wasn't going to buy us a car. We had to buy our own cars.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you got a summer job. What are you going to do with your money? And my choice, what I did with my money was whatever I did. The first car I ever bought was a Pontiac Bonneville. Big old engine in it, flip the air filter fan upside down, really sound good.
Yeah.
Probably got about 5 miles to a gallon when I hit the gas
Probably
pedal.
old 428.
Yeah. Had horrible, and I had an uncle had a junkyard, so I got it down from him. Was in two-tone green, not by purpose, but because different parts were put on it from different cars.
Frankenstein, I love it.
The alignment was always off. And I could go drop, I'm going to make up a number, $500 and get everything taken care of. Or I could go down to the local tire store and buy used tires for $20. I bought a lot of used tires,
Yeah, right.
including the time I bought snow tires and ran on in the summer. So I sounded like a semi coming down, and it was just a boom, boom, boom. Okay, that's what it was. And when that car finally died, I was left asking permission from my brother, who didn't do sports but worked the job, to borrow his car, or I had to wait for mom and dad to borrow their car.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just, and again, he taught me, and Kelsey can verify, life's about choices. I chose to do this, so I don't get all this other stuff.
I love
I
the
chose
fact
to do
you
that.
said Good morning, Don. By the way, we'll get your comment in a second.
Shayna said, but your hair was on fire, and the ladies that were impressed, so it was worth all the tires.
Except for when they had to help me push it when it ran out of gas. So yeah.
That's right. I love your last comment there, because that's how we raised our kids about choices. Life is about choices every day, right? No matter what, you're making hundreds of choices every day. So I love that one. I love that one. But Don, I hope your knee's doing better. I don't know if you saw that, but he's sitting in the parking lot going to get his knee looked at. I hope everything's going well with there. But then he says, my memories center around summer baseball and all day at golf courses. Mom dropped us at the course in the morning and picked us up in the evening. Yeah.
Oh.
Do you still play golf? Or did that burn you out?
He used to live on a golf course.
Did he?
Yeah, up here.
Yeah. I mean, that's back in the day. That was the thing, right? Mom dropped you off, you come back, Or we used to go to the mall. Now you gotta go. There's so many. We'd have to walk uptown and stand outside the Burger King, wait for the bus to come. Pay the $1, get on the bus, ride the bus all the way to Vernon Hills to go to the mall. Walk around the mall and just be idiots all day long.
Yeah. So when we left the farm, I grew up on a 100-acre farm. There's another one where I drove the big tractor into the chicken coop. It's a whole different story, right?
Did the chicken survive?
Yeah, but I never seen my dad run so fast. Listen, I was youngest of 4 boys, so I thought I could do everything my big brothers could do. It was dumb. But when we moved, so we had a 100-acre farm, so you just roamed, and when you heard the bell, everybody came running from wherever you were. But then we moved to Dubuque, Iowa, which 150,000 people. It's a big city, right? And I knew what about 100 acres were. So like when we first moved there, I was gone.
I got more places to play.
Yeah. So I kind of knew the limits, and it freaked my mom out because there was no bell. There's a lot, and I remember that, within the first week we were there, she's like, "You gotta stay up."
Did you go into a regular neighborhood in Dubuque then? You went from the farm to a neighborhood?
Oh, yeah, neighborhood. Yeah.
You're probably like, what the hell is this? Why is that house so close to me?
I
can hear my neighbors barking.
You guys are saying bell and everything else into it. The last thing my mom would always tell me we left, you got a quarter in your pocket?
Yeah.
Because if you had a quarter, you could find a payphone and call home.
Yeah.
If something happened, that was an emergency quarter. That wasn't to just call home and say, "Hey, I'm tired, come get me."
Right.
That was somebody has got a busted leg, somebody's bleeding, somebody's doing something.
Did you ever do the cheat on the calls? You collect call, and then we have a collect call from, "Hey mom, come here." You know what I mean? They click over.
We had a code word.
Oh, we did. Yeah, we did.
If you use Robert, you were in trouble. Mom had to come get you.
Oh.
Because they named everybody in our family with a D. So if you use anything but a D, you were in trouble. So.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, we used to do that all the time. We'd be at the mall. Come get me.
Right. Yeah, Kelsey, you're being quiet. Is that because Pops is here? Or, I mean,
What? No, I'm just listening. I was just thinking of the time when you were
Your
talking
topic,
about.
bring up some more of them puppy stories.
Well, no, he was talking about like accountability. I remember like we used to go four-wheeling a lot, like when I was younger in Utah.
Mhm.
And I remember we used to so I always thought like I could get the biggest jump, but I was the littlest one on the time. Like my little Yamaha was like a toy car nowadays, what these kids
Right.
drive around. And our dogs used to go out there with us. And like my dad's like, "Where's Dakota?" And I was like, "What?" And he was underneath my four-wheeler. I went over like a hill, but our dog used to like chase us. And, I wanted to be big and badass like my dad and my brother, but I just could never get any air. Just like basketball, I can't jump to save my fucking life, to be honest, but
Did you
it's
shoot?
fine. And so like I go over this hill and I try to get a little bit of air and my dog tries to go underneath me and I end up getting my dog like a sandwich. He was totally fine though. He was
We
fine.
were out in about 12 inches of
Yeah.
snow, so the
And I
dog
was
got
like-
pressed down in the snow.
Okay. I'm like, oh, that poor
I
puppy.
was like,
Got up
Got
and started
that singed
chasing her.
fur right on the top.
Got up and started chasing her right away. I was like, all right.
It was a black lab. And my mom's like, "What's with the tire marks?" I was like, just started laughing. Like, that's a dead giveaway for Kelsey. I just laugh. I'm like, I did it.
Yeah.
It was me. I didn't even know he was underneath me.
We'll see if Kelsey remembers this. Her and her brother took those ATVs and they went out and they found a big mud puddle.
Oh, yeah.
So we're out at a place called 5 Mile Pass, and my wife's like, "They're getting those things dirty." I said, "Yeah, I know.
They're getting them dirty.
They're getting them dirty." I mean, no, but they were
We
going in the mud and they're throwing mud everywhere. And I'm telling you, mud was caked on those ATVs about 3 inches thick. And my wife is just freaking out a little bit about how bad it's going to be to clean up. And I'm just like, "No, it's all right. It's all right. Just let it go." Kelsey, you want to finish the rest of the story?
We were outside with the hose for like, I swear, like 16 hours. Like you thought you got one layer off and there was another layer and then the tires
That's
were
because your
so
dad turned the
thick.
pressure down on the
Oh,
hose.
my God.
That would have been an idea, but I didn't. I wish.
You kids are gonna suffer. You only get a quarter
Nah.
pressure.
Hey, I would do that again though, like driving in the mud like that forever. And we were doing donuts and spins, and my brother and I were trying to shoot each other in the face with the mud from the tires coming up. Oh, it was like the best time of my life. I'd
You wanna
read
do that
clean.
again?
Let's go. We don't have four-wheelers
I
anymore.
got some.
We do. Let's
Yeah,
go. I love four-wheelers.
I love that.
She laughs about the
Love
fact she's
four-wheelers.
doing it. And it's just like, hey, you guys want to go have fun. When you're done, you just got to take care of it.
Yeah.
You clean up the machine.
Yeah.
That's what the machine's for.
Yep.
Now, she's not lying. It did take him 2.5 hours, and I would go out and inspect, and I would always find a little piece of dirt someplace. Hey,
think
I
if
want
you
them
take
done
the
right.
mud
You're
from
going to
the
do them
grass
right.
and put it
Gonna
back
do
on
them
the
right.
four-wheeler.
Do
So
it again. I see it's
Well,
about right.
that's all right. They understood. Next time they've gotten mud, guess what? They're going to clean them up. All right,
Their
good.
four wheelers are supposed to get dirty.
And they were, but they're all supposed to be clean when they're done.
That's right.
They are.
Yeah,
So you can do them next time.
That's a good memory because there isn't anything.
I would
fun than
agree.
Squirting mud all over your brother. Or
Oh
friends
my
or
God, it was
whatever.
amazing.
Or they're sitting there. They're sitting at the side of a puddle, and you come ripping by and just soak them.
Do you remember that same trip? We had some friends who were with us, and they had a brother-in-law that had never ridden ATVs.
Here's a newbie to the ABs.
So he's going out and he's trying to see what these kids are doing into it, and he hits a puddle, and his front wheels go down, and he goes over the handlebars, and he's laying in a bath of mud, caked, just absolutely caked. We're an hour and a half away from anything, so it's one of those. It's time for him to go home. It's like, here's some extra clothes, but you're going to be partially naked because you're sitting right here and you're wrapped because you're not getting in that car or that car or that car. Yeah.
It was
He-
so fun. We used
he
to
paid a rookie
four-wheel and
mistake.
we used to like shoot outside too, because in Utah you could do that. So I remember my dad used to bring like old CDs, or we all had that stack of CDs where you're like,
Right.
I'm not gonna copy those, use those ones, those are scratched. So we would put them outside with empty beer cans and you just shoot up. I could never hit a damn thing until I got closer, but I still tried. You know what I mean? I would get mad. And my brother was like, I swear, like 9 years old and hitting that. And I was like, he's gonna be American Sniper and we're all screwed. But
He grew up to be
He
a Marine
was.
sniper. So,
Yeah.
okay, not bad.
Well, see, you had found his calling earlier, right? So damn CDs that you got him going.
That's right.
a damn video game.
Shana says, God blessed and protected the feral children.
There you go.
It's so true. So true. Scott, what else? I mean, you
Childhood memories.
Yeah.
Dude. I mean, you guys are sparking. Like I said, there's
Right.
so many, but it's just, well, growing up for me, we just were assholes. I mean, we had a lot of fun. I mean, today's it wouldn't fly, but I mean, just the shit that we would do. I mean, throwing snowballs off at the train tracks, over into the cars. You know what I mean? Coming down the highway. We thought that was the greatest thing ever. Just things that you think are so fun and, harmless, until now you hear today, snowball comes off, hits car crashes, 3 people die. It's like, oh,
Right.
I mean, we didn't do that, but you know what I mean? You
Right.
don't realize the repercussions of it. We were just stupid kids, you know what I mean? And
But that's why we think a lot of America is dumb now. Hang on just 1 second.
216 Creator Studios, your gateway to professional podcasting. Whether you're a seasoned podcaster or just starting, 216 Creator Studios offers state-of-the-art podcast studios designed to meet all your recording needs. From crystal clear audio quality to a comfortable creative space, we've got you covered. With fully equipped rooms, expert support, and flexible booking options, you can focus on what matters most, your content. Join us and bring your voice to life in the best environment for podcast creation. 216 Creator Studios is here to help you create something extraordinary.
Thank you, Mai. And Shayna says, I'm at the pressure washer after confidently attempting to ride the neighbor's Shetland pony. The baling twine didn't hold, and the mean thing dumped me in 6 inches of filth.
tempting was, I'm assuming that was bareback.
Right. Good
Yeah, I got
times.
a nice story about a horse, man.
She
Was
probably had
it
a shirt on. I don't know.
was it Uncle Craig, Dondi's husband at the time, when we went up to his ranch and we rode horses, and I was there with my friend Kate, and he
yeah.
was telling us, he was like, by the way, there's bears. Don't get spooked, but the horse might get spooked. And I was like, oh, so if the horse gets spooked, I'm fucked.
Mhm.
And I remember my cousins were there too, and they were like all pieheads, and my friend and I were more into let's go do something fun and exciting. So I haven't really ever rid a horse, and he was teaching me a little bit. He's like, okay, you're fine, you got the gist down, now go out. And I was like, so what happens if it bucks off? My friend's like, you'll be fine, just roll the opposite direction. So here comes this cute little bear, and I'm getting distracted, I'm like, oh, it's not gonna harm us. And the bear decides to come out, and my horse gets spooked, and I fell off the back end of it and landed on my back, and I rolled, and I got really close to where it only stepped on a little bit of my back and not fully in my back. And I remember we went to the emergency room, and I was laughing, and they were like, why is she laughing so hard? I was like, she laughs when she's in pain. She laughs when anything's funny. When she's nervous, it doesn't matter. But that was one of the best times, because it was such a scenic route. It was gorgeous there. I remember when we went off into the woods, there was a tree house and everything, and my cousins were up there smoking pot, of course. But they all watched South Park, so they were a different type of humor. We weren't allowed to watch that as kids. That was a big no-no.
I still don't watch it.
But the horse was so pretty.
You're a better man for it.
That's right.
And I just because we grew up in a rough, tough household, that you had fun, but you might have got injured,
Oh, yeah.
but doesn't mean it wasn't a happy memory.
Mm.
So, to this day, that shit hurts. Sometimes my back gets swollen to this day, but I just laugh about it, because I'm like, you know what? They said it was going to get spooked, but I still went out there anyway.
That's right.
But you still did it, right?
Yeah, I
That's the
did.
good thing. You knew there was an potential issue, and you still went at it, right? It happened, and you lived, and you had fun, and you remember that
I do.
forever. But for me, I'm thinking, you're going to see a bear. I'm like,
Yeah.
right away, I'm like, no, because I've been bucked off horses.
Yeah.
I've actually been kissed.
Shayna, but not against any of you to have a bear story.
Yeah, only closest bear I've ever seen is in Colorado.
85 bears.
85 bears. But we were on a horseback ride in Estes Park in Colorado, and black bear up on the thing, and I don't know, a couple 100 yards away, and that was the coolest thing I couldn't imagine it being that close.
It was here and here.
No.
You,
My wife would have jumped off that horse and started running.
you want to go see bear? Go to Lake Tahoe,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You did? Yeah.
and it's one of the things they'll put out there. And we did one of her cousins got married there, and they've got bear garbage cans out there.
Yep.
So no matter what, whatever you cook, whatever you do, it better go in the bear garbage can.
Yep.
And everybody's like, no, bear known about. No, one of my kids left some snacks, like cookies or whatever, in the back of my truck. Super cab, right? So we go out the next morning, the Rangers go through and the lights are going off. Go out the next morning, there are scratches all over the door handles on my truck, because this bear could smell it inside my truck,
Inside the
was
truck.
trying to go get it. And so until I sold that truck, there was always scratch marks, and there was a black bear out of Lake Tahoe.
Wow.
I wonder which child that was.
Wow. All right, Don.
I'm pretty sure I know who it
see you
was.
Next Friday,
Yeah.
Don.
Never realized how
Good
big
luck.
that
Good luck.
freaking water.
Good
Oh,
luck, Don.
Bob jumps in.
Hey, good morning, Pops.
Says, as a child, we had a very old garage that my dad said he wanted to tear down and build a nice new one. I thought I would help and started tearing it down while he was at work one day.
Go ahead and finish the story, or I'll finish the story. Pops came home. It was just a dream to do
Okay.
that, but my dad took it upon himself to tear the not perfect garage, but a
Right.
decent garage.
Yeah.
Really old leaning, but still,
single stall.
still offered some shelter.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that day? I mean, something you remember forever. You come home, your kid decides to tear down your garage. Great thought, kid stepping out of, helping out. And what do you say to your kid? You know what I mean? When he's just really trying to be a good kid and help, and they just cost you how much time and money?
Yeah, he
What do you
finished it. He goes, when he came home and saw what I did, he said, I was only kidding, son. But 3 months later, we built a new one.
Expedited the process. Expedited the process.
He had no choice now.
Well, back then, I mean, it was a car shed. I mean,
Right.
You had enough to squeeze that, 8-foot wide car in, 8 foot
Right, just
wide by
enough.
45 feet long. You could get the door open and,
That was about it.
and there was no insulation. It was just 2x4s.
Just 2x4s
siding.
and more plywood.
That's it.
So the house that I grew up in looked out over Salt Lake Valley. And when you sat up there, you're looking in the valley, and I mean, beautiful sight up on the foothills. And we're sitting up there, and my parents used to love to sit out on the deck and just have some drinks and just kind of talk. And it's probably Friday night, 1:30 in the morning. And my dad kind of makes a comment, you know what? It used to be really beautiful till that tree grew up. My brother and I are sitting there. We kind of looked at each other a little bit, went down around, and he was talking about a tree that was belonging to a neighbor down in the cul-de-sac below us. And so about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden you hear a chainsaw rip up and
Have some cocktails.
zip, and a tree goes down. And, 10 minutes later, he and I are back home. And my dad is just sitting there real calm, goes, nice try, wrong tree.
Oh, really?
And the funniest part is that the tree that we cut down was a friend of mine. And so,
Was. You used the word was.
and for honestly, okay, this is one maybe not the best way to go about it, but for about a 4-year period, they never knew who cut down the tree. So until I went to his wedding, then I kind of went just to clear something up.
By the way, congratulations, but I'm the one that cut your tree down.
Yeah, it was us. And they just started laughing because again, stupid part of stories is they had a tree cutter come down in a week. They take down the tree. So I guess we were just earlier than cutting down the tree. All right.
That was it.
But it was still the wrong tree.
Nothing like coming out at 1:30 in the morning
With the
a
chainsaw after cocktails.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
And back then, there was probably no safety whatsoever on these. Not there was really any safety in a chainsaw anyway, other than stopping the chain when it's
No.
idling right.
Oh my God.
Oh, this, Kelsey,
You mean
this is a
don't
great
keep her
topic.
turned on with the
Yeah.
chain?
This is a great topic, Kelsey. I'm glad we decided to do it. My stomach hurts from laughing.
Don says one parting shot here. He says, last note from me, memory growing up in Topeka, as you used to listen to a band practice in their garage.
Oh, wow.
Turned out to be Kansas.
Get
Oh,
the hell
wow.
out.
That's great.
What?
Wow.
That's great.
Carry
That
on,
is-
wayward son, baby.
There you go.
Right. that
Right?
is-
I love that.
you
song.
guys will never make it. You're dreamers.
Dude, that was the big thing. The
Oh,
garage bands, right?
Yeah.
Now there's no such thing as garage bands, right?
No, they can actually
They
come
can
here
come
to
to- yep.
216 Creator Studios and rent out our band room. It'll
That's
be
right.
good to
That's
go.
what I was getting at. They can come out here. So if anybody knows anybody out there, 216 Creator Studios doesn't only have this fantastic show every Friday, they have a plethora of shows and spaces that you can rent to come in and record. If you're a musician, whatever, come on and check the place out. This
Yeah.
place is absolutely amazing. Start your career. Take that chance. Just do it.
There you go.
Check them out at 216 Creator Studios, guys.
.com. Bob says, having grown up in a world with radios only as a family, we would gather around it and listen to world news and shows like the Green Hornet. Yeah. Dust in the wind. That's me. I'm out, he says.
All right, Don.
yeah.
Have a great day, bud.
Don wins the best story, but yeah, I don't know. Can we believe him?
Yeah, right? Hey, could you imagine that?
Doesn't matter. Right? It's a great story.
Great story.
Doesn't
you're
matter.
hearing this-
Great story.
You're hearing that song as a kid walking by, and then whatever, a year later, you're listening to radio. It's like,
Yeah.
I heard that. What?
What?
Damn,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's a real. That is a really good
Yeah.
childhood memory.
Here's one that'll flip this world on its side is, when we lived on that 100-acre farm, you had a burn pit for your garbage,
Mhm.
right? And like my brother Kirk was in charge of burning the trash, and like all four of us boys would sit around this, an old engine
Stinky.
block that was turned into a fire pit, and, take the milk jugs and, he'd hold it on a stick in the black smoke and he'd be going like this. And we'd be like, oh, that smells so good. And it's dripping flat black plastic, it was
that's
all
what
about,
happened.
hey, what do you think this is going to smell like? Oh, let's throw the turpentine in. It's just stupid things. You're all just standing around in the smoke like, oh. Now I don't have any hair, so.
That might explain it.
But I remember is the big thing to go out there. Of course, I was too small to play with the fire, but I could get close, and then it was how long could you get the plastic
The
milk
string.
jug to
Yeah.
string down? And oh my, and you're just like, what were we thinking?
You weren't. That's the
no.
best part about it.
I-
You were just being stupid
Yeah.
kids, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
You were curious.
Right.
Yeah, we're
I mean,
curious.
is
That's
it
how
really
you
any
find
of that
out.
anymore. I feel like there's so
So
many
true.
rules and so many, can't do's anymore. I mean, just seeing kids outside, to me, I love it when I see kids outside riding bikes.
You're
Yeah.
whatever. Say 100 yards away from them too.
Yeah,
so.
right.
Yeah, no, but I would even tell you, as a retired teacher, that's the one thing in my content. If a kid was curious, they were a learner.
Yeah.
If a kid just want to memorize the rules and whatever you're doing, accounting, whatever, nah, they're just a rote machine. AI is going to replace them today anyway. If you're
Right,
curious, you find out stuff,
Right. You learn how to
trial and error, and you
Yeah.
figure it out.
Right.
You figure it out.
Yeah, I would teach my son courageousness over cowardness,
Yeah.
because that's basically how we were raised. I was going to talk about this time where my sister ended up getting these 2 trampolines, and we're like, how are we going to get over a 6-foot fence? And people are like, just call people, and we're like, no, fuck this. This is a Mills. We just do shit. You know what I mean? Whether you fuck up,
we just do shit.
We didn't do it.
we do.
Might not be right. but we do
Whether
it.
you mess up 3 or maybe my brother didn't get the hint of that, but my sister and I, we just do it on our own, 3 or 4 times. And then we called dad. And then dad's like, you should have called me the first time. We're like, well, we just wanted to test it out. So there was these 2 trampolines. And at the time I was living directly behind my parents. It's like an L shape, the way that we were living. It was like my parents' house, my house, and I shared a fence line with my parents. And then my sister was 2 doors down. And my sister and I are looking and we're like, man, too bad we couldn't just toss the fucking trampoline and it lands into your yard because we're on a diagonal. And we're like, that's not going to work. So we're all pretty athletic. So what we do is we walk a half a block. Everybody's holding up an end of a trampoline and you're walking to my house. And we're like, okay, we made it to the house. And how the fuck does it get over the fence? We're all short. We're all
Big
5'8"
fence
shorter. So then what we did is we got these platforms and we raised it up like this. And then we walked over the fence. Gradually, we broke my gate, but we fixed it at the end. So,
At 1:30, you heard a chainsaw.
Yeah.
There you go.
and then because I live by my parents, my dad's like, I really don't like this tree that leans on my fence, So I was like, all right, I'll cut this tree down.
Right. Hey, no, I'm glad you're still here. I'm still listening.
Still listening. They call me back.
Hey, take us in with you.
Yeah, right. Take that video.
Share the link. Let's watch this.
There you go.
Share the link with everybody there. Let them see what's going
The
on.
hell with HIPAA laws.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That was, what you were talking about, and I can't in myself. I don't know so much. I'm assuming you probably did it with Kelsey, but just experiment, do things, right? If you're curious, just do it. I was a horrible student, horrible learner. I wasn't comprehending. So I always and still kind of do by learn by doing, right? And failing in the curiosity. I am like the curious cat, right? I'm always trying to figure out why things happen, right? Sometimes too much, right? Ken?
Way too much. all
Yeah,
the
like-
time. Not sometimes. all
I think he's a Finks cat, so
Right.
we're good.
Yeah. I just, for me, and this is what I see, and I'm pretty sure I live a fairly sheltered life, believe it or not, but it's like, a lot of these kids coming up today, I just don't see the imagination and the creativity that we had. Like, they'd stick us in a corner with a block. You can sit over there for 8 hours, right, with a block. It's kids these days, I'm bored. It's like, you got a room full of toys, you got everything, you got bicycles, all this, I'm bored.
So the question I put to you is that the kid's fault or the parents' fault?
Oh, well, realistically,
That's
it is
parents' fault.
it's the parents' fault.
And
Right.
and fault is a poor choice of words. That's the direction they're going.
Right.
And so that's what you choose to do. These kids will tell you, and even anywhere else. Like I had a football practice 2 days ago, and of all the stupid things we're playing sharks and minnows with a bunch of high school kids.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And the kids are like, Coach, why are we doing this? Is this what do I normally do at this time? Well, we do pursuit drill. And what's your attitude? We don't like it. Do you like sharks and minnows? Yeah, we love it. It's competitive. It's this, it's that, it's everywhere else into it. I said, give me 5 other rules to go with it. What do you mean? I made them, or attempted to make them, come up with a way to do a drill that we needed to do it their way,
Right.
but still do it. And I gave them some time. I gave them a day to kind of go through it. They were bored with it. And I think that's the one thing is it's okay to be bored. It's okay to sit back and be bored and go, I got nothing to do, and either mentally reset yourself, physically reset yourself, or you just go through the grind and think about how you're going to do something the next day, whatever it's going to be. And it, to me, and again, I'm an old guy, retired guy. I got a lot of time on my hands. I got a lot of, I'd like to do this, like to do that, but I'm not willing to do that. So let's go do this.
Yeah.
And you just kind of find a direction. Does that make sense when I say that? And again, I think we try and put so much into kids' lives
Right.
that we try and take up every minute
Well,
and
right.
don't
I was
allow
just-
them.
right. I was just going to say that I think that's what the question and the answer to the question really is the parents 100%. I mean, what you teach your kids is basically how they do. Are they going to get affected and learn from other outside influences as they grow older? Absolutely. But giving them that time to have, like Ken's dad said, learn to be, what was it?
Yeah, he said when I was probably 15, he's like, you got to learn to do nothing.
Right. Right.
I always bounced off the walls. Bing, 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 bing,
That's
bing.
because our brains are running too fast. But I feel like the parents aren't,
It's true.
putting these kids in a situation now, like I've got 2 grandbabies, love them to death.
Mhm.
And for me, I don't, they're not getting technology, anything like that. You want to have fun? You're bored? Let's go outside. Let's play. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. Right. It's up to us to give them those boundaries and to give the healthy outlets, if you will, like free play. My daughter, I can't get them to free play. I'm like, I go play with them. I'm there for a minute and I sneak away. Once they get involved and they start seeing these things, right? It's not easy, right? If life was easy, everyone would do it right. But getting the kids into doing stuff like that is best for them and the parents later in life.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
you don't have that kid that doesn't know how to do anything and whines nonstop.
Well,
right?
and it's great that you're stifling their growth because as they grow, they're going to need that technology, and that's what Shane says. It's nobody's fault. Tech is something culture needs to learn to balance. Keep holding them back so when they get someplace, they're way behind the curve. Scott, that's great.
I'm not
That's
holding them
great.
back. It's just at Pop-Pop's house, you're not sitting in front of the TV or on a computer.
No, that's great.
Well, he's the reason why we have curves on tests. We appreciate you.
That's right. That's right.
You're bell curving him already?
Yeah,
You're bell curving him? Okay. All right. All right. All right.
100% in the problem.
When I didn't understand that topic, kids like you, I got that 80. Appreciate it.
Right.
I appreciate
That's
it.
right. The school of hard knocks is what taught me.
Well, I love Shannon's comment there. The real danger is being able to isolate into only the like-minded people.
Yep.
You have to be able to sit in a room with somebody who thinks completely opposite of you and
I
have a
enjoy it.
discussion
Yeah.
and not have a fight. I'm not trying to make it up. I don't care. You love red. I love blue.
Right.
Okay, great. I'm not trying to convince you to hate your color,
Right.
and you're not trying to convince me to hate mine.
Right.
But I just want to understand why you like yours.
That's exactly what Kent always says. Help me understand. And that's the big problem today, right?
No,
People can't have conversations.
Curiosity.
I'm the poke the bear guy, right? What we miss is critical thinking in today's
But
world.
your
Right.
your comment.
And it's I'll irritate people just to get them to think. And my hope is that I can drop a few things and walk out of the room, and for like 3 days they go,
You two are the
"Oh,
same.
bitch."
That's probably why I get along with him. But I'm more mature in growth at this point in my life,
Yeah.
32 years old. So I
Yeah.
get along with Kent, where at the time that I was younger and you were my father, I was like, no, I want to be rebellious and
He's
do my
still
own
your
shit.
father now that you're older.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, now I understand
I don't
his
think you can
teaching
fire him.
because I have Coach Kent.
Yeah.
Coach Kent.
But that that's Don sent me a meme a couple weeks ago. It's like this is the internet. This is me on the internet. It shows somebody poking a bear, and I'm like, that's some of my best work. I want people to think. I want people to think
Right.
critically. I love you for your opinion, and that's your opinion. But I'm not going to try to sway you into my opinion. I've been in so many boardrooms where I've irritated people because I'm like, don't tell me 2 + 2 is 5. Let's talk about this.
Well, you learn from history. When I say that, and I'm going to
Yeah.
go with your poke the bear, everybody likes to point that we're living in this time that's unique. No, we're not.
No, we're not.
If you go back and look in history,
Mm.
and you go back to, let's go back to the early time the United States was here. If somebody was a different political party, they would actually buy and run a newspaper to put out
That's
print
correct.
to
Still
try and
do that.
convince everybody. Well, today we do it, but it's a lot easier today. We put it up on an internet site or whatever.
I said, there's no different today. It's just now you have way more.
Yeah,
access
there's
to all
more access that's
nonsense.
going on. So it's still the same thing. I mean, you can go back and,
Right.
you guys are around the same time or age, I'm guessing, that I am. I can still remember all the stuff from Vietnam to everywhere else and the protests also going on. It's the same stuff. People are being people. It's just different subjects we're doing things with.
And the news is in front of you 24 hours a day.
Yeah. And we all like to plug into the news and do whatever instead of making up your, read it and talk to somebody and,
Right.
oh, look, they said this. Let me go find somebody who thinks this. And
Yeah,
Where am I
we've
at?
lost that capability, and that for me is one of the saddest things. That's why for Kent and I, because for all intents and purposes, are like two peas in a pod brothers, right? But when we get together, and that's I think what really makes this show really successful is the fact that we push each other, right?
Sure.
You're what makes this show successful.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. Let's be honest.
Hey, let's be honest here.
Okay.
You know what I
poke
mean? But-
all of us and then get us to get out and
Yeah,
poke
that's right.
you.
But right, I mean, he poked
Yeah.
me, right?
Sure.
Poked me, or I poked him, but it really does. It presses me to push past, right? To look at things from a different perspective. I mean, I'm me. We're all our own selves, right? We're on our own little worlds, and we believe, and we've all been raised differently, had different things that has shaped us and formed us over the years,
Yeah.
right? And so it's great because there's many times if you've watched the show before, you'd be like, shit, I never realized that. Okay, wait, let me sit back and rethink this whole thing. My whole life, holy shit, you know what I mean? But that's good because you can talk about it, and it might piss me off sometimes when somebody does poke the bear, but I'm appreciative of that because they did that, and it's a respectful poke, and you can still continue to communicate, right, and learn from each other instead of you like this, you're an idiot.
Well, I mean, going back to childhood, I mean, Sundays you were at grandma's house with all your cousins. You watched your aunts, uncles all sit around talk. You know what I mean?
Play
And
cards.
maybe there was a baseball game or a football game, that was going on. But everybody's, you sat at the table, there was conversation. And that's what we learned is like conversation, right? I made sure with all my kids that we had dinner together around the table. How was your day? We always talk things out. And I think as we're older, that's one of the big memories that has formed us is just the ability to go, did you hear what Uncle Bob said? Eating a little bit, had a little too much to drink or something,
Right.
but or then you'd get into the Cutlass cruiser wagon, and on your way home, you'd hear your mom and dad go, I don't know about, and we took in a lot of conversation. Now it's 30-second clips of things, and people go, oh, I just learned something. No, you didn't.
And a lot of the shit
know.
that people see on like the social media and stuff, they take as gospel, right? They see one thing and it's, oh, that's right. It's like, take your time, evaluate, to his point, critical thinking, right? Take all this information, sift through it, and figure out what really makes sense, not what the agenda is or what this side or that side, I hate saying it, but what they're trying to put into your head. Use your fucking brain, right? Evaluate it. You have a brain. Look at all the different sides and decipher what really makes sense to you, not what everyone else is trying to push on you, right? And having more critical thinking, I think critical thinking should be one of the classes that kids actually would have in school.
You'd have to find
I took it in high school and college because I enjoyed it so much.
That was my best. That was one of my best
Problem
classes at CLC.
solving.
Yeah.
Oh, you was TLC too?
Yeah.
I'll check you out. Me too.
Brian.
Great job.
Yeah, thank you.
I knew we had something.
That was a well planned out thought, Scott.
He forgot.
All of my thoughts are well planned out, dude. My name is.
until it hits the wall.
That's it.
Hi,
Until
Tom.
it hits the wall. Until it hits the wall.
This is Kelsey. I'm Ashley.
That's what I tell my kids. I'm like, I got Alzheimer's disease. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't. It's just the way it is.
Totally agree with that one.
I will say, like, one big childhood memory before we get off real quick is my dad was sitting down with myself and my brother and I fought like cats and dogs. We're like 2.5 years apart. Didn't really grow up with my sister because there's like a 10-year gap between us. But as my dad's like, okay, listen, I don't ever want to hear the word hate. Like, so hate was a strong word we weren't allowed to use in our family. So my dad used to like always challenge us with different ways to speak to each other, like with our vocab. And I remember my dad was telling us, like, there's two different types of people in this world, and we still use it to this day, humans and assholes. Like, that's how he raised us.
That's it.
was humans and assholes, you know. And it was funny, it's because my grandma, she was 50-50 of that type of individual sometimes, but she was just open and honest with folks.
Mhm.
You know, she was very direct, you know, to the point where some people on the other side of the family were very appreciative of that because they sugarcoat things. Where my grandma's like, no, I don't like her and fuck you, and she'll even do the middle finger to people. You know, and I appreciated that so much so because she honestly, the more and more I hung out with her, as she taught me how to professionally disrespect people.
Yeah.
To be honest, like, because people, you could literally say the nastiest thing to somebody's face, but in a nice way, and they're gonna have no idea.
Hey, my grandmother
So-
was German,
The old
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
from Germany.
German.
Hey, it was the
That's
same
what it
way.
is.
You know, you're like, what? You know,
Mhm.
absolutely.
in a lot of respects, so you kind of, I really appreciate that, right? I mean, not when it's a total disrespect, but
Right.
hey, you're an asshole, stop it, right?
Right.
Instead of, that's probably not the best thing. You
Don't
think,
say- yeah.
just stop.
Just say it.
Just go sit in the corner. You're an idiot. 5 minutes over.
Turn
I
around and face
appreciate
the
that,
wall.
Liz.
Hey, and there was no talking back in the
Oh
day.
God, no!
There was hey, you didn't even take a deep
You'd
breath.
be like this. You can see your uncle. You're like going to grab their belt strap. Like, you gonna say something?
Hey, I can still hear it coming out of the belt loops.
She's,
Yep. Like
she's
Kirk did it. Dad, Kirk did it. It wasn't me.
the lady she's talking about had a lot of bite to her.
Yeah.
She grounded me for 2 months in the summer. Yeah.
Think about what they grew up with. I mean, because I'm assuming through the depression and
Oh,
shit,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
Yeah.
So I mean, there's no nonsense back then.
No.
It is what it is. You did it. You fucked up.
Yeah. So
Now it's kind of like,
like-
wait,
like-
let me think.
like
about
my dad's parents came to Ellis Island, right? So I mean, so they're from the old country, so it was for real. Yeah. Hang on though. Have a fun and peace-filled week. Thanks for the meetup. Hang on because
Shane, we love you tuning in.
Kelsey's gonna finish the show with a little something.
Yeah, Kelsey is a poem writer, and she has a new poem she wrote this week that she's going to share with us, guys. So hang in for a few moments. Let's hear this wisdom. She's going to start laughing.
Yeah,
You put me on the spot. Thanks.
We put you on the spot.
I'm
You
just
didn't
kidding.
want to
Yeah.
do it.
I like to give you shit.
Roses are red, violets are blue.
Cows
Kelsey's
have
sitting
kids.
next to me, and I love you.
Okay, so it's called Me versus Me. Me versus me, pain versus growth, me versus growth, growth versus progress, progress versus sacrifice, sacrifice versus society, society versus me versus me versus support, support versus pain, pain versus peace, peace versus patience, patience versus purpose, purpose versus process, process versus love, love versus value, me versus me versus worth, worth versus boundaries, boundaries versus bond, bond versus respect, respect versus energy, energy versus emotions, me versus me, past versus change, change versus adapting, adapting versus choice, choice versus impact, me versus me.